There are so many things to stress about when it comes to international travel. And with my upcoming Europe trip, you know what I'm not stressing about? Finding Wi-Fi or getting scammed on overpriced SIM cards. I'm using Saily, the eSIM app that keeps you connected in over 200 countries without the airport hassle or those ridiculous roaming fees. It's made by the folks behind NordVPN, so privacy and security covered. You install Saily once, pick a plan, and you're good to go. Whether you're hopping countries or just need solid data from the moment you land. And bonus, Saily has a built-in ad blocker that can save you up to 28% on mobile data. That's more scrolling and less wasting data. So if you're traveling soon, do this now. Download the Saily app in your app store and use the code DATEABLE at checkout for 15% off your first data plan. That's DATEABLE for 15% off. Stay connected, stay smart, get Saily.
I've been on a health kick lately with the wedding and then just realizing it was time to start eating better in general, which is why I love Washington red raspberries. They are clean, simple, and a seriously delicious way to add more nutrition to your day, whether you're trying to clean up your snacks or build better meals. They're American grown, picked at peak ripeness, and frozen within hours to lock in nutrients like fiber, antioxidants, and vitamin C. And they have no added sugar. Just fruit as nature intended. Instead of my typical breakfast sandwich, I've been doing a red raspberry smoothie, and it's been an excellent source of fiber because, fun fact, raspberries are one of the highest fiber berries. Want to discover new ways to use American frozen red raspberries and get more details on where you can grab a bag of these delicious berries? Go to redraz.org. That's REDRAZZ.org. You'll find recipes, health tips, retail locations, and everything you need to make frozen Washington red raspberries a regular part of your routine. And don't forget, look for Product of the U.S. on the bag.
Hi, I'm Yue Xu.
And I'm Julie Kraftchick.
We're active daters turned dating insiders.
Here to dive into everything modern dating and relationships.
Welcome to Dateable. Hello, friends.
Welcome back to another episode of Dateable.
Are you ready to get chaotic?
Oh, yeah. Always.
How's your chaotic energy today, Julie?
I feel like my energy, we're coming in the future. We're recording this before my wedding, but the last couple weeks I would definitely say have been a bit chaotic. So I'm bringing
But
it.
apparently, according to our guest today, sometimes a little chaos is good.
Yeah, it lights a fire, that's for sure.
Because you never know what could happen in chaos.
You never know. But we're not talking about chaotic wedding planning. We are talking about chaotic singles parties.
Ooh. And this is the answer to all of you who have messaged us asking, what are some events that we can attend that are geared towards singles and that are fun? This is your answer because our guest today, Cassidy Davis, puts on these chaotic singles parties all over the country. And sometimes you could get up to like 200 people at an event.
And this, actually, we got introduced to Cassidy through Allie Goldberg, who is a friend of ours that we've met through the podcast. It feels like we've known her beyond the podcast, but we actually met her through the podcast. And for anyone that's unfamiliar, she also runs events that are a bit more I think they're more of a show, but there's obviously an opportunity to connect too. She has a live show she does called Love Isn't Blind. And we had the pleasure of going to her show, but also she was able to host some of our book events with us. And she was like, you guys have to get in touch with Cassidy. She is doing some really cool stuff in the singles space. And she put us in touch with her. We did a call with her. This was before even having her on the episode. And we're like, okay, she has an interesting story because not only did she take initiative to throw this event and now is doing it for singles, but she actually met her fiance at her first event that she did.
Yes. And she put on these events because she wanted to meet more people. And she didn't stop after meeting her fiance. Yeah. It just means this is her true calling. She is meant to bring singles together in the most chaotic, fun way possible.
And I think a big piece of her motivation was this feeling of events in person not being prevalent. I think COVID really did a number on in-person events. And, I'm obviously a huge app person. I'm not like bashing the apps by saying this, but I think in COVID, that was the only option. And there was this huge gap of like having in-person connection. I really truly believe that apps plus in-person, like it's not either or, but it's getting like a fill of just social energy from all different directions. That's so important because if you're just online all the time and things aren't working that way, it can feel really discouraging. So I love that she kind of took it into her own hands in a time where like in-person events really weren't happening.
The energy is just so different when you are with other people who are there to have a good time. And I'm sure we've all had moments where we are antisocial and we think we can just stay home and meet people through our phones. But it is so different when you're around other people who are open to meeting new people, who are open to talking to new people. You just get a different energy that you can bring back to the apps. So having the combination of the two is the best way to go about meeting new people. And on top of all this, I would just say for all you hetero men out there who always complaining, like, where do you meet women? Just be where the women are. Like my entire vacation where I did, the Mind Valley event, the tennis camp, it was like mostly women because women are there chasing their interests and they're there to have a good time. Guys, you could do the same. Like these are gold mines if you want to meet women. Go where the women are.
I also feel like, too, it's taking matters into your own hands. Like we talk about this with Cassidy, that she wasn't having the dating life that she wanted. And instead of just complaining that there were no good people out there and no places to go and all the usual BS, she's like, I'm just going to make something myself and do it. And I think that attitude is really like commendable because I think that's like really taking control of your love life.
That's so smart. I know I wouldn't go as far as hosting a big ass party with a bunch of strangers, but certainly maybe like an intimate dinner party where you ask your friends to bring someone new. You never know who could show up and you never know who they know.
You never know. And I think, like the key is finding what works for you. Absolutely. But I mean, when I started 500 brunches, like a big piece of it was like, I felt like, and this was years prior to COVID, so it can't even blame COVID on it. I felt like there were a lot of events that you went to, but nowhere that like really fostered like good conversation and connection. Because there's no shortage of events, but if you're just going to go and talk to the same people that you always do, I mean, if you're just there to like experience whatever the event has, that's one thing. But I found like it was hard to meet new people. So again, created something and just built, if you build it, they will come, right? And did actually meet someone from that.
Exactly. You had a very long-term relationship that came out of that.
It feels like there's a drought with all this stuff right now. Like there was actually this article in Time magazine of why we need to bring back house parties. And I was saying to you before, I'm like, is it that we've just kind of like outgrown it? Like that we're not doing it as much? Are we in a different stage of life? Or is it just not happening as much? And I think the answer is it's not happening as much. Because, in this article, they were saying that, it's been widely reported that large face-to-face social gatherings are on the decline. Nightclubs and bars are feeling the pressure. They were saying that everyone's partying just a lot less in general. And that according to a report from The Atlantic, a 2023 study found that just 4.1% of Americans attended or hosted a social event on an average weekend or holiday. In a 2023 YouGov poll found that only 59% of Americans had attended a birthday party in the last year.
Why do you think this is? I know my answer. I think it's too much trouble. I rather just gather people at a restaurant and then I don't have to clean up. But I certainly feel like in the recent years, I've had really no options for 4th of July. Used to be lots of barbecues that I would get invited to. I remember being in SF, like every year there'd be 5 or 6 barbecues and you just make the rounds. But in recent years, I feel like I haven't been invited to any.
Do you think it's just people like got away from inviting people into their homes? I don't know.
Maybe. I certainly don't have people over as often as I used to.
Yeah, it's hard because like I feel like the stage I'm in is I do go to people's houses. A lot of times people that have kids because it's just easier. So I'm not sure if that's like representative though. It sounds like younger generation is also not doing it.
Yeah, we want to know from you youngins. Are you going to house parties? That's all I did in high school was go to people's houses. But then
college,
I hear from...
yeah.
And
After college too.
My friends with kids nowadays say that they would not want their kids going to someone else's house. There's a lot of liability and risks. I don't know. Where are you all hanging out? Is it the mall still?
I don't think there are malls.
Yeah, malls are shut down. Where are you all going? Are
Everyone
you hanging out at
online? Yeah, everyone's just online.
God.
It's kind
everyone's
of
just online. Oh, on their phones.
But
Damn.
I mean, in this article, it wasn't just people coming to your home. It was late night socializing in general. Yeah. And I don't know. I mean, I think like whenever I see people like out at bars, it makes me happy because I'm like, oh, people are out. They're doing stuff. But I think like thinking back to us in our 30s, like we would have jumped to go to one of these like chaotic singles parties or like
For
one of
sure.
these events. And I think bringing them back, it's kind of in a way sad that it's like an innovative thing. Like it feels like it's something that just should have been rolling this whole time, but that's the reality that they somehow got taken away or are less prevalent now. So I'm glad that people are, you know, taking the initiative to bring back ways to meet.
Yeah, and I appreciate it. And I think that even communities are trying hard at doing this. Like where I live in Culver City, there's a little downtown Culver part, and that committee, they're always doing events to bring people to downtown Culver to create that sense of community. It's something we all want. But it goes back to your original point of we need connection. We don't just need a place to gather.
Yeah.
We need a reason to gather, and we want to be able to make meaningful connections and have meaningful conversations.
Well, I think, community to me is actually engaging with people. And I think, there's a lot of things I think that have been like the perfect storm to why we don't do it anymore. I mean, even before COVID times, like you would go to events and everyone just like they were like glued to their phone. Yeah. And it's just like, I think it's just easier, right? And like more distractions, more things pulling us in different directions. And it's become like harder and harder to just like talk to people anymore.
Yeah. It has. My friend's boyfriend is a manager at a bar. He says he has regulars coming in every day who are on their phones. They're not talking to other people. Yeah. They bring their laptop or they bring their phones. And he's like, why do you come here if you're not going to meet people? And their answer is like, I'd rather be doing my stuff, but around other people. It's kind of like co-working. Right. Co-working spaces are similar.
There is something about that. Like I get what they're saying to some degree. Like I like going to a coffee shop to work because I feel like I'm around people, even if I don't talk to anyone. Yeah. But it's not really like getting that engagement. I think it would still be better to like be in, I don't know, maybe an office if you like the people. If you don't like them, maybe it's better to be in a place where you're not talking to anyone.
Yeah, I guess it's the intentionality behind it. If you're going just to get work done and to be around other people's energy, great. But if you're open to meeting new people, maybe that's, you give yourself 10-minute breaks to talk to a stranger.
Yeah, I'm just like, I can't even remember when like someone has come up and talked to me. And I'm like, am I just giving it energy? Like, do not talk to me anymore? Or is it just that it's not happening? Because I do remember like back in the day, I'd be working somewhere and people would like come and interrupt. And it was like sometimes annoying, but at least it was happening.
Yeah. I don't think people do that anymore unless they have a reason to talk to you. No one's going to, very few people just talk to a stranger for the sake of talking to a stranger.
We need to bring it back. I feel like every generation gets a little more like antisocial.
I know, and I don't want that to happen because I already feel myself getting more antisocial as I age. I need to be brought back out into the social scene. That's why I like going to events like Mind Valley, because you are there for the purpose of making connections. But if I am going to just like a public, even going to a restaurant by myself, I wouldn't give off that open vibe of wanting to meet a new person.
But how do we more? Because I feel like when you and I went to South by Southwest, remember we were like, this was like the best week ever. Because the energy, people were just so talkative and approachable. And I was like, it kind of felt like a lull once I got back.
Yes. Events like that give people permission to talk to each other. It's like you're there for a shared experience. But if you're just at a coffee shop, there's not that unsaid permission. It's like you don't know if some people are open to talking or not.
Maybe this is our permission that we're giving people.
Yeah, just talk to people.
I think people want it. I think people want to be talked to. And I also think now, like, it feels like every motive has to have some goal attached to it now.
Yeah.
And like literally it could just be like, I'm just talking to this person just to say hello. Like there could be no expectation that comes from it. I find like with dating and meeting in real life, it's so hard because there's so many expectations that come. Like if I talk to this person, will we go on a date? Will they reject me? Will they like me? Like it could just be as simple as like, I'm just saying hello to someone.
So here's a quick tip from the feng shui expert I saw in Mind Valley, who we're going to get on our podcast. But just really quickly, her name's Marie Diamond, and she's like, there's an optimal position to be at whenever you're out. And it's called the power position, where you're facing the door. So you want to be far from the door, but facing the door so you can see the whole room. And I do think at coffee shops, a lot of people end up facing the window, so their back is to people coming in. But if you are in the power position, people come in, you're like the first person they see, so they feel somewhat connected to you, or they feel like maybe you know where the bathroom is. Like they might come to you with a question. But of course, if you're facing away from people, no one's going to talk to you.
I like that. Yeah, or even just having like one question prepared. I'm not like usually one to like have the question prepared, but maybe that would help break the ice, especially when it's like literally out of nowhere,
Yeah. Yeah. What's your go-to question?
Well, I'm not a good person to ask. I don't know. Like if you're like at a coffee shop or something, like maybe it could be like, did you try the bacon croissant or something? Whatever it is, like something to just open up convo. Or like, have you ever had this before?
I guess it really doesn't matter, right?
Doesn't
what
matter.
You ask. Just open up the conversation. It could be something stupid like, is the AC on right now? It's just like hot?
It really doesn't matter.
Don't overthink it. It's just like your opening line on a dating app. Don't overthink it. Just open up the conversation. Better, easier said than done.
Easier said than done, but I think this episode will inspire people, and we love hearing stories of, again, people dating their way and finding something that works for them and, taking risks, going out there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Get chaotic.
Get chaotic. If you want to get chaotic, make sure to pick up a copy of How to Be Dateable.
It is like the least
It's
chaotic.
the least chaotic thing. But, okay, if you want to balance the chaotic singles party energy with some, I don't know, soothing, calm, reflective energy, get How to Be Dateable.
Organized reflection.
Yep. Okay. HowToBeDateable.com. Also take the dating archetypes quiz if you haven't yet. And pick it up, audiobook, Kindle, and hardcover, whatever is your preference.
Pick it up for your friends that you're going to meet at the Chaotic Singles event.
Yes, we've heard of people gifting it and paying it forward, and no better way, especially as we come into the holiday season, cuffing season.
Truly.
It's the time. Okay. Well, before we get into it with Cassidy, let's take a minute to hear from our sponsors.
Fall is in full swing, and it's the perfect time to refresh your wardrobe with pieces that feel as good as they look. And luckily, Quince makes it easy to look polished, stay warm, and save big without compromising on quality. Now, Quince has all the elevated essentials for the fall. Think 100% Mongolian cashmere from $50, washable silk tops and skirts, which I have many of, and perfectly tailored denim, all at prices that feel too good to be true. Why? Because they partner directly with ethical, top-tier factories, and they cut out the middleman to deliver luxury quality pieces at half the price of similar brands. I think Quince has become my one-stop shop. They're just pieces that I keep reaching for over and over again. And one of those pieces are my linen pants. They're just like the perfect transitional piece from summer into the fall, which is so great for here in LA. Keep it classic and cozy this fall with long-lasting staples from Quince. Go to quince.com/dateable for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. That's QUINCE.com/dateable to get free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/DATEABLE.
Okay, let's hear from Cassidy about chaotic singles parties.
I saw this headline that said, in a shocking turn of events, Gen Z wants to meet people IRL. Shocking.
Yeah.
Shocking turn of events. And a recent New York Times article that titles A New Way to Date the Old-Fashioned Way. So today we're really going to dive into this topic of meeting people IRL. And Cassidy, you wanted to also do this. This is something you were looking forward to do. And instead of finding all the ways that other people are doing it, you were like, I'm just going to start my own party where people can meet in real life. And is it true that you got engaged to someone that you met at one of these parties?
Yes, we just got engaged this weekend. Like,
oh my God.
Like 3 days
Congrats.
ago.
Congrats. At
That's
the time
breaking
we're
news.
recording this. I love it. I was like, I think last time we talked, you were dating. So we saw that come through your form. That's always fun to see.
I know. On the form, I was like, oh my God, this is my first time I've ever clicked this.
Yeah. Love it. And I mean, you even wrote on your form too, for background, we have people fill out a little about themselves. And you said that you went from being tragically single in LA for too long, as you put it, and now you're engaged. So maybe take us back to those days. How long ago was this at this point? Like the events have been running and pre-meeting your now fiance.
Yeah, that was 3 years ago now, 3.5-ish years ago. And I would only identify as tragically single in LA. Like, I don't know how else to identify when you're dating in LA, because it's just so tricky to do that. So I was single for 5 years. I was really down on my luck, and I was tired of going on dates that felt like job interviews, tired of going on weird coffee dates with guys who seemed so funny on the apps. And then I got to them in real life and they were so boring. And I was like, I'm just so fun at a party with a drink in my hand with my friends. Like, I just wish I could date in that space. So that's what inspired that first party that changed my life.
Why did you feel like you couldn't date in that way?
I just feel like sometimes when you go, I mean, I did, right? Like, I would go out to bars and with my friends with the drink in my hand, and I would date in that way. But I just felt like sometimes those nights ended up leading to very casual situations and not necessarily like meaningful relationships. But I mean, I did end up meeting my now fiance, although he's one of those 65 guys who came to that first party. I did end up running into him at a bar. So, I do think you can date in those spaces, but sometimes it ends up being just a little bit too transactional sometimes.
I think that is like a good way to put it, because we've heard this before. It's like, it's too casual and no one talks to you out in the wilds, like when you're just like going to bars. And then on dating apps, it almost feels like it's too formal, that you're going with this idea of like, ooh, is this going to be my person? It's like almost too much pressure, and we've lost that just organic way. And I feel strongly that you can still do it with dating apps, but I'd say the norm is that we go with these like high expectations. And if we don't see it on date one, we're done.
Totally. No, 100%. And I feel like, especially with the apps, they do so much good, I think, to an extent, but sometimes it can be it feels like AI dating. Sometimes it's like, I have my list of what I want and don't want in a partner down to their height requirement. And I can quite literally weed out the people who don't fit in my boxes. And I feel like it takes out the like spontaneity of real life connection and actually meeting someone you like love. It becomes so about the checklist, I feel. And sometimes that cannot be helpful when you're looking for like a soul connection,
Yeah. You and I have something in common, because when I went to New York, like years and years ago, maybe almost like 7-8 years ago, I rented this Airbnb and I had a BYOT party, bring your own Tinder party.
Oh my God.
So I had people bring their Tinder matches to this party to meet for the first time. And I think you did something similar. So tell us about that and what inspired you to do that.
Yes. Oh my God. That's so funny. That's so similar to what I did. What inspired it was the same desire to throw a party and date with my friends at this party. And so I told my friends I had this idea. I was like, let's just invite all our Tinder matches to my apartment and I'll throw this house party. Keep in mind, my apartment is not that big, not that big, but I was just like, whatever, let's just and it was Valentine's Day. And so all my non-single friends are going on these elaborate dates. And I was like, we're going to have fun. Like, we're not going to be losers. It's Valentine's Day. So, all my friends and I invited 65 of our Tinder matches over to my apartment.
Oh my God. So people you had never met before.
Never met before.
65.
65. It was maybe the dumbest thing I've ever done. My parents are still quite angry about it, but no one robbed us. There was really nothing to rob, honestly. And no one like kidnapped anyone. And the people who came were actually so fun. Like we swiped on like the fun wedding guest profiles, the people who just seemed down, you know, and we got the messages, of course, of people being like, this is crazy. This feels like a scam. Or like a lot of people thought we were going to harvest their organs or something. We got a lot of messages about
obviously.
that. And I was like, if you could see me right now in my apartment, like nothing about me gives organ harvester, but whatever, that's fine. And so we invited all those guys, and I would say about 40 of them came.
Okay.
And
it's not a bad ratio.
No, there was like 15 of me and my friends and then 40 guys. And they all were like, we had no idea what we were showing up for, but it just sounded so fun. So we were like, let's roll the dice. One of those guys was my now fiance, and I had met before at a bar, and I told him about the party I was throwing.
Okay.
And he was like, that sounds so fun. And I was like, well, you can't come because we've already met. And the whole point is we're inviting people we've never met. And he was like, well, can I just be there in case something goes wrong, just to make sure someone has your back while you invite 60 guys over your house? And I was like, okay, fine, whatever, you can. And
he's like, I just want to make sure it's not a gangbang. Like, can I just be there to protect you?
He's like, I'll just be in the back. Like, don't worry about me. And he brought a guy friend. So he was like, I'll bring someone random that you don't know to kind of like replace me. So yeah.
I'm impressed so many people showed up because UA and I did way back in the day. There was this thing called Tinder Social. RIP. They need to bring it back. I really think this is what Tinder needs to be doing, especially right now where everyone wants to meet in real life. Yeah. So it was this thing. Have you ever heard of this, Cassidy, with Tinder Social? Yeah. So it was, I feel like it was around for like 6 months tops, and then they got rid of it. So you were in groups of your friends and you would talk to other groups. So it was like UA, myself, and like 2 or 3 of our other friends were this group chat with like random guy groups. And it was like mostly like consisting of like memes sending. Like there was no like serious conversations happening. And this is probably why they got rid of it. But one night we were out and we were doing like Tinder Social and talking to all these guy groups. And we're like, fuck it, let's just invite them all to the same bar. And we invited like 6 groups of dudes to the bar. And we're like, what if they all show up? It's going to be awkward. 1 group showed up. 1 out of 6 we got.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's so fun. Was it fun?
It was a good night.
There's something about like being with your friends, you know, you're like relaxed, like it's not as pressury.
No one talks in bars anymore. It's so hard. And I think like that's a reason why we're always like expand your network, go to like house parties or birthday parties or picnics with friends, like anything where there's like a group that you could actually talk to. It's just going to a rando bar and expecting someone to come over to you. That's like so
rare.
Like 10. I don't know.
No, it's true.
So Britney era.
Yeah.
But back to what you said originally, Cassidy, you didn't want to meet people at bars because it felt casual. So what made these events different? Because when we did the Tinder Social get together, it was definitely very casual.
Oh, interesting. I mean, I feel now the chaotic singles parties, I think what makes them different is like the intentionality that goes into the event itself. Anyone can kind of show up to a bar on a Friday night, have a few drinks and, you know, spread their seed, I guess I'll say.
Or maybe not.
Or maybe not. Anyone can kind of be in that casual vibe. But I think there's something intentional about buying a ticket to a singles event. Yeah. And we're very intentional about the icebreaker games we play and the community we foster and the connection we try to build into the events. So I feel they feel a lot less casual, and people still can come casually and date and get like 6 numbers and have fun and truly like be chaotic. But I'll say there's something just about the energy of it all. Like people are much more open to communicating. People do approach people at the party. They're encouraged to do that. We give you tools to do that. And I think the biggest difference is heard in the feedback of like someone coming to my event and then going to a bar afterward and just feeling the immediate vibe shift of the warm and welcomeness of the party to then going to a bar and feeling like the cold kind of like standoffish energy that then exists in a public space.
I mean, house parties in general, there's just a different vibe. I don't know if it's like hard casuals, maybe not the right word, but friendly and warm, I think is definitely a difference between bar. I guess even in yours that at this point, you were not like an organized event when you just invited the 65 guys over, but like what made that feel more intentional? Was it that they were at least like looking on a dating app, or what do you think?
Yeah, I feel like the intentionality around that first party was just that people were down to take that kind of leap. I mean, like I said, we invited a bunch of people who thought we were insane. And I was like, totally, then this party's not for you. Like if you're judging me or you think that I'm crazy, then you're not who I'm looking for. Cause I always said like my type of person would take that leap. He would be so down for this. He would think this sounds so fun. And sure enough, that's exactly what happened. He was like the first one there, showed up with a huge bottle of tequila and was like, this is awesome. You know, so I think
he wasn't even invited. He's like, I'm coming.
Yeah, exactly. I think the intentionality was just like everyone in that room had something in common in that they were looking for love. They were willing to do something crazy to find it. Yeah. And they were willing to really like take that huge leap of faith. And I think that's kind of what bonded us all together that night is we all laughed so much about how crazy it was that we all agreed to do this and showed up.
Well, there's something very communal in that you're doing this experience together. And I think that's what's missing in dating nowadays.
Yeah.
And then your now fiance. So basically that was like your second time meeting at this party.
Yes.
Yeah. And then how did things progress, I guess, that night?
Yeah, that was technically our third time meeting at that party.
So do you guys have like mutual friends? Is that like how you
No.
So you just met randomly at bars?
Yeah.
Wow, okay. That's an enigma.
No, it's a crazy story. The first time I met him was just at a random bar at the Belmont, actually, here in West Hollywood. Me and my friend were really drunk, and she was like, why don't you go ask those guys for dating advice? I had just gone on a horrible date, and I was feeling so sad. So obviously I got really drunk with my friend. And she was like, why don't you ask those guys for dating advice? And I went up to them and asked them for advice. And my now fiance was one of those guys. And we talked to those guys just joking around for like 10 minutes. And then basically I left the group by telling them all to suck a dick, which was not my finest moment.
The most romantic
made
trademark.
You memorable, that's for sure.
For sure. It was like in a fun way, like, you guys, and then I like left the bar and my friend was like, wait, those guys were so cute. You should have gotten their numbers. And I was like, I'll probably never see those guys again. Like, anyway, on to the next adventure, right? And then 3 months later, I was at this I was at this abandoned clothing store for a rave. I don't know, which, I had no business being at. That's not really who I am, but I knew someone who was going. And so I went to show support. And sure enough, my now fiance and his friend walked in and I was like, gosh, that guy looks so familiar. I like can't put my finger on it. And so I watched for a second to try to be like, my friend was like, maybe from work or from, I was like, no, I can't.
From work. Yeah.
I was like, that doesn't sound right. And then I went up to him. I was like, you look so familiar and I can't put my finger on it. And he was like, yeah, I think you told me to suck a dick a few months ago at a bar. I was like,
oh my God. He's like, I remember you.
I was like, that does sound familiar. And so that night we really like connected. And then that's when I told him about the party. And so then the third time we saw each other was at the party. And then after that party, he wanted to have like a date in the daytime without alcohol at like a coffee shop to make sure I was like normal because he'd only ever seen me like very partying, in that space.
Yeah.
But I think after that first party where he came, I think there was just something that was such a green flag about A, him being down for the party, and B, him not being threatened at all by the fact that I quite literally invited 64 other guys to my house. Like he thought it was so funny and wasn't jealous or threatened. And that was like the biggest green flag for me.
What made him stand out from the 64 others that were there that you were like, oh, this is something?
He is just genuinely so fun. Like Ken at a party is one of my top 3 favorite versions of him. He like walked in with a huge bottle of tequila. He made sure everyone was having fun, poured everyone shots, was just like the life of the party, but not in an overbearing way. And was like very wasn't swarming me, wasn't, all over me. He was just like there, watching, here to chat, and then would let me do my thing. And even to this day, like he's very much like that. Like I'll, now I host singles parties every week and there's no part of him that's threatened. He'll drop me off at the airport, wish me luck. And it's like very, in that sweet energy of being loving, but not overbearing. And I think I felt that immediately. And I think I really need that from a partner.
Have you gotten his take on his first impressions of you at the first bar?
Yeah. He thought it was like really funny. He was like, I'll never see her again, but she's hilarious. Like that was kind of the vibe when I mic dropped out of there.
He wasn't like, that's my wife. That's my future wife. I'm going to marry her.
No, I don't think so. I think because truly we didn't get I don't even know his name. We didn't share any information. Like I bounced. It was so crazy that I ran into him, especially in LA. Like I don't even run into my friends in the city. So the fact that I saw him again that night that we re-met, we still talk to this day, just felt so like magical or like woo-woo because like that just does not happen. in this city.
So what I love about what you're saying, Cassidy, and your story is that you just like take shit into your own hands.
Yeah.
Like you're like, I'm just going to walk up to these guys, ask for dating advice. I'm going to throw this party and see who comes. And I think a lot of people don't do that. And a lot of people think there's nowhere to go. There's no one to meet. And I know for me, like I actually ran these events. That's how UA and I met. It was called 500 Brunches, where we get like a group of people together to meet for brunch. And I actually met an ex of mine, not my fiance, but an ex at the brunch. And I remember like it was actually a great way for me to meet someone because I wasn't thinking I was going to meet someone. I know it's a little different than yours. You were clearly going in there with an intention, but for mine, I was like, oh, I'm not going to meet anyone here. Like I'm just like doing this. And I think that natural energy attracts someone when you're in your element.
Yeah.
Like, why do you think it's important for people to kind of be like comfortable, like putting themselves out there that way and maybe take a little more initiative and start stuff, you know?
Totally. I mean, I think it's so important because if you're looking for that and you're expecting it to find you, I think you're really setting yourself up for failure because if you have such a like I had a specific vision of what I wanted in a partner and I was frustrated with what was finding me. And so I was like, I have two options. I can just kind of keep accepting what's being served to me and being frustrated and maybe even settle for something less than I deserve because that's what's coming my way. Or I can like start paving my own way to find the person I'm looking for. And for me, I was like, I will find them being the most version of myself that I can be, which is this. Like, and I think for a long time before I decided to take this initiative, like I said, I was single for 5 years prior and struggling. I was starting to get to a place where I was like, maybe I have to be smaller. Maybe I have to be less loud. Maybe I should party less. Maybe I should be a smaller, quieter version of myself. Like maybe I am too much. Right. And then I kind of was like, you know what? Let me just be the loudest version of myself one last time and see if perhaps I can attract what I'm looking for. And truly like these parties have never felt more closer to who I am. Like, and I've never felt more aligned with what I love to do. So I really do feel like taking that initiative is so important. Putting yourself out there is so important because, or else you're just accepting what's being given to you. And that's like no way to live. I think that's when you really end up settling.
I think people should definitely replay that part because I could hear people even say like, well, I'm not the life of the party. I don't want to do that. And that's okay. You can do a meetup for like writing or whatever your thing is. It doesn't need to be the same for all of us. But I think when you take control and place yourself in the best environment for you, that's when the magic happens.
Totally. Whatever that can be, like whatever feels the most aligned with you or whatever feels the most like you, right? And that environment could be anything. You definitely don't have to invite 65 men off the internet to your house. You can do that in so many ways. But I think, especially now that a lot of people work from home, we're kind of just limiting ourselves of like, I live at home, I work from home, and I go to the grocery store and the gym. And if these are your only opportunities of seeing the world, then you're just extremely limiting yourself to the people you could meet. And so I think whether, you know, you're saying yes to a meetup or a party, I think there's something really beautiful about just saying yes to random things that come your way because you really don't know what's on the other side of that. Like I said, I had no business being at a downtown abandoned clothing store rave. It's really not in my repertoire of events that I would have gone to, but it just sounded fun. And I was like, fuck it. Like I was just like, you know, Shonda Rhimes, like year of yes. I was just being like, sure, let's go. Who knows, you know? And I felt like that whole year I was really putting myself in the way of meeting people in a different way.
Well, there's like a natural through line to what you're saying and what Julie has experienced and other people we've talked to too, is when you lead with your interests and curiosity, you get rid of the expectation of any sort of outcome because you're just there to have fun or you're there to thrive in that environment. Like Julie met her ex at one of her events. She didn't even know that he was like interested in her because she was just in her element, like having a great time. And on our other podcast, the Exit Interview, where we interview people's exes, one of the girls had no idea that people were interested in her because she was like in this production and she was like doing all this like production management and she just loved what she was doing and people were flirting with her and she didn't even know. So I think when you lead with your own natural curiosity and interest, you're not thinking, oh, am I going to meet someone today? Like that doesn't even matter. That's just a bonus. You're there to be your most authentic self. And that's sounds like what you did, Cassidy.
Yeah. And don't you feel like in those situations, like you're the shiniest, brightest, most like pure version of yourself? And like inevitably, of course, attraction comes your way. Like you are Like I feel like in those moments, I can just imagine those women being like the shiniest beam of light in that room. And like, of course, people look over being like, wow, like what is going on over here? I must introduce myself, you know?
So what's the balance though? Because I think it's hard sometimes when you're like going to a singles party, right? That you're like in the back of your mind, you're like, okay, I'm going to just have fun. I'm going to see what happens. But then in the back of your mind, you're like, I want to meet someone, or I wouldn't be going to this in the first place. Like, how do you balance the two? Because I think that is maybe like the biggest challenge with any singles themed events I've seen, is that people kind of show up a little awkwardly. Like, how do you get around that?
Totally. Well, I think it's the same energy we've just been saying. Like, I think when you come to a singles event, whether a chaotic singles party or a different one, and you're white knuckling it and you're walking in being like, I'm meeting my soulmate tonight or else,
right?
You know, and people come in with that energy often. And I am always like, right. Like, let's just
leave it at the door.
Leave it at the door. Of course you want to meet your soulmate tonight. And no one hopes you meet them more than me, girl. Like, I am praying you meet them. I want them to be here so bad. But if you're walking in with that energy, like, it is just kind of so abrasive and over, like, there's something just off-putting about that, I feel. But the people who walk in with it, with just being like, I don't know, I'm either here for the plot or I'm here for love. We'll find out. Like, I'm just here to have fun. They, I think, A, have much more fun, B, make a lot more connections, and C, leave with a lot more potential like hopeful interest, because they didn't come in with that, like, you know, white knuckle energy that I think also often exists on coffee dates, or, you know, you're kind of walking in with all this just pressure on your shoulders of like, this has to be it or else. And I'm like, how could you ever be the best version of yourself, that like shiny, bright version of yourself, when you have all that pressure on your shoulders? It just, I feel, is not the way to do it. So even walking into a singles party with the hope, I think you can still release the pressure of it and just say, like, either I'll find love or I'll find friends, or I'm just going to have a really fun night and put myself out there. And even if you don't leave with someone, I think there's really beautiful things in putting that energy out there, that you were intentional tonight. You did something brave. You put your heart on the line. And like, even if it doesn't come back to you in that event, it will come back to you in the future, I think.
People can definitely take that into dating apps too.
Totally.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
Instead of thinking the next swipe is going to be my soulmate, I'm here to have a good time, have good conversations, get to know new people. And who knows who's around the corner? It doesn't really matter.
I mean, that was the energy I had when I met my fiance versus other dates I had been on, even leading up to him. It was very, like, there was this like feeling of like, who's next? Is this person going to be it?
Yeah.
And we had this guest who is a play expert that basically like talks about like, how do you just like have fun on dates, you know, and lose all that. And I listened to that before I went on this date with my fiance, and I went into that date so differently. And it was from a dating app. So I could not agree more that it's less about the medium and more about your own energy going in.
Totally. And I think it's about like putting, what's the goal? I feel like it can be right to find your soulmate, to find love of my life. Sure. But I feel like some reframing could also help make it more fun. Like, well, I really want to try this new restaurant. So even if this guy sucks, I got a new restaurant, or I'm learning about myself, or I'm going on 7 dates in 7 days just to have a story, you know. Taking the pressure off of it, I can make it all more fun for you and bring out a much more authentic version of yourself.
I want to dive into this even more, but before we do, let's take a quick break to hear from our partners.
You know, what's funny is we have this technique, I guess, or a mindset when it comes to dating apps. When you're swiping, we call it the house party mentality.
Oh, I love that.
It's like swipe on people you would invite to your house party. And that's like exactly what you did with the 65.
But you took it a step further and invited them.
You actually invited them. So you were living our fantasy.
Wait, I love that.
How many chaotic singles parties have you thrown at this point?
Oh my gosh. You know, I don't even know. We
like
are
hundreds?
Yeah, I would say probably 100 plus. We're launched now in 8 cities nationwide as monthly events. And my goal is to get to 15 cities by the end of the year. So we do between 8 and 10 events a month now. So yeah, like a ton of singles parties.
Have you seen any patterns in how people connect and start dating? Because even what you were saying with your now fiance, it took 3 meetings to really get something off the ground. And I can see people going to like 3 of your events and see the same person and being like, oh, I saw you here last time. That could be one avenue. Have you seen these kind of patterns that really dictate like how people meet?
Yeah, I've definitely seen that pattern. The first time you come, you might be very nervous. So maybe the third time, it can be a little bit more more fun and more casual for you. The pattern I see a lot, which is so interesting, is people who have known each other then re-meet at my parties. And so I would say like maybe like 15% of the couples that are still dating that I know of were either exes that reconnected or they had gone on like one Tinder date back in the day and then refound each other when they were much more like intentional about dating.
I love that.
That is a pattern I hear a lot, which I think is so fun. I'm like, wow, that's crazy that you guys both ended up here again. And this time you both were ready for a more serious commitment. And this time it really worked.
Has there been a lot of people that like walk in and immediately meet someone, or is that less frequent?
I'm not sure if it's immediate. I feel like the first hour, everyone's kind of like getting the lay of the land, having a drink, warming up a bit. We'll play like an opening icebreaker game. But then once we do a more facilitated game about halfway through the event is when like you can feel the tension in the room dissipate. You can hear the noise get louder. And then that's when like the real mingling and mixing and connection happens.
But people do meet even at like the first event.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. We'll almost always have like, 4 or 5 makeouts in a corner, people leaving together.
You're like, that's how we judge success.
Yeah, I'm like looking at the dark corners. No.
Yep.
Or they'll like leave together, go to another spot. But yeah, definitely I would say every single event people walk out together.
I don't know. I'm mixed on this. Like on one side, I'm like, oh, it's really nice that there's icebreakers and ways to bring people together. But then on the other, I'm like, do we really need that level of like facilitation? Have our social skills just dropped to nothing that like we need that? And I think the answer is yes, but it's kind of sad in some way.
100%. The first party I ever did outside of my apartment, I didn't do any facilitation. I just filled the bar with singles and it was very fun, but definitely like that first hour felt like a middle school dance. It was like men on one side, women on the other. And I was like, wait a second, like y'all came to meet people, like, come on. So after that, we started doing more icebreakers, more like programming in the event. But I really do try to find the line between helping you mix and mingle and not making it feel like summer camp where like, you're like, enough, girl. We just need to talk to each other. I want to just be there to help. But I also am pretty hands off after the first few icebreaker games. But I do feel like the facilitation, especially these days, people, like you said, just don't approach people at bars anymore. So even in a space that's quite literally created with the intention of you approaching, everyone is here actually to be approached. Like that's what they're looking for. They still kind of need a push to do it, or they need the games to help them get out of conversations if they're not enjoying them, which I've always find fascinating because I was like, just say you have to go to the bathroom. Don't wait for my game, just get out of there. But I do think these days, especially with everyone relies on the apps, they do need a bit more facilitation.
Yeah, Julia, I'm with you on this. I'm kind of mixed on the games as well. But then now I'm thinking about it. You have to take the place of drinking somehow. I think it's like either you just have this event, there's no programming and people just get really fucking drunk because that's the only way they can connect, or you got to fill that space with something that kind of, warms people up. For someone like me, I probably wouldn't want to drink that much, but I don't want to be standing there, also have nothing to do. So it's kind of nice to fill the space a little.
Yeah, I would say it's like half and half. Half of the people I feel like are like you guys and like me, where I wouldn't need a game. I can just approach, like, especially if I'm there to do that, I would be like, I'm fearless in that way. But I think other people need a little more facilitation. So the games are there and you can ignore me. And a lot of people do. They're like, I don't need you, girl. I'm doing my thing. And I'm like, period. Like, do your thing, girl. But if you need the extra crutch, I guess, it's there.
Just for the record, like I might very well have needed that extra crush. I'm not saying like I'm above it. I just think it's fun. Like it's just an interesting. I mean, this is all makes sense. Like I think Me Too did a number on like men initiating in general. Like that's just not the world we live in anymore, whether there's alcohol or not, to be honest. I feel like even if people were getting shit-faced, I mean, maybe they'd have a little more liquid courage, but I feel like that like hitting on culture has just completely dissipated. And a lot of that's for a good reason, right? Like there was a lot of bad that came with that, but then I think people are missing like getting approached and approaching, it's like swung a little too far that people just do nothing. And then couple that with apps and COVID and all the stuff that's happened in the last couple of years, I think like a lot of us have just lost social skills completely or never developed them.
Totally. I mean, yeah, I would totally agree with that, especially like the COVID and the apps of it all. I think we've gotten ingrained when it comes to dating to getting the green light before approaching physically. Like the app says that you like me and I like you. Therefore, I feel safe to go up and now enjoy our coffee date, right? And I think without that green light, people feel nervous. And so it can be a little tricky in real life. And I get why the apps are so useful. To some people, having that green light makes them feel more calm going into a date, makes it feel less stressful knowing that there was a mutual agreement, there was a mutual swipe that happened. So I definitely see the value in that. And in real life, that doesn't necessarily exist. You really have to be a lot more courageous, which is scary, you know?
I mean, I guess it's always been like that to some degree. I think we sometimes get rose-colored glasses of the past, like even saying this out loud, but it's like there's a reason why apps came to the scene to begin with, because it was hard to meet people in real life.
Yeah, that's true.
Like that was the problem they were solving. And like when I did 500 brunches, I felt like there weren't a lot of events where you could actually have quality conversations with people.
Yeah.
So I think this has always been like a problem. It's just manifested and gotten solved in different ways over the
Yeah.
You know, the problem that apps don't solve is community and building community. And that's something you're doing, Cassidy. And with any of these events, what I find to be the ultimate kind of like, this is what you do to meet someone, is having the multiple touch points throughout the night. Maybe you walk in the door and you see someone, you say, hey, you don't need to, like, there's no lines. You don't need to be like, I'm interested. It's just a, hey, I see you. I clocked you. An hour later after the games, you're like, oh, I clocked you during that game. And like a few hours later, a few drinks in, you're like, oh, I clocked you again. Now that gives me permission to actually go over and talk to you. And we have the whole night to bond over. That's the community aspect.
Totally.
And I think with apps, you like go in cold. It's just a message, hey, and there's no other touch points. So I can see how these events are so effective, even if you like match with someone on an app and then you finally meet them at one of your events. It's like, it just makes it so much easier to connect when you're, have these touch points in person.
Totally. And I think it takes that pressure off of it, especially with the apps. With me, I got stuck in pen pal situations a lot where I was like texting them for like 2 weeks and then we'd meet in person. And then I realized we wouldn't have a lot to connect with. So I started not texting a lot via the apps. I would just go right to the date. But then I'm getting on this date completely cold, like you said, like just
right.
I'm like looking at the profile in my car before I get out, being like, okay, like these are
Who is this again?
these are some things I could bring up when I'm on the date in case I need it, like trying to, because you are going in so cold. Whereas like the events, definitely you have that community. There's something, everyone in that room agreed to be there tonight. So you have something in common with everyone in that room. And again, there's still that energy of like everyone took a leap of faith. Everyone is putting themselves out there tonight. Everyone is doing the brave thing tonight. And that like camaraderie definitely exists in the room. And then the games help you go on kind of, you can go on 5 dates that night, have 5 little quick conversations that then you can circle back to. Or if you're a chaotic queen like me, you could go on like 50 dates that night, having 50 little moments with people. And then you get to choose who you want to pursue a deeper connection with.
It's funny, even when you're saying this, I feel like the word date has really transformed over the years. Because like even, I think with apps, when you go on a date, the first time it's a meet, you're meeting this person for the first time. Or what you were just saying, you go on these dates at the party. But a date used to be like this event, right? That you like got ready for and excited about. And it's kind of lost that magic because everything's a date nowadays.
Yeah.
Like, how do we almost like bring that back? Because I think it's almost more like these are just interactions and meeting, and like having this date label for everything like almost diminishes the real thing.
Yeah, that's interesting. Part of me is like, I totally hear you. And a date is it is such a special occasion and it should be given that weight. And the other part of me is like, I liked not giving the weight to it, at least for the first date, so that I wasn't like getting all dolled up and going. And I liked a much more casual setting for the first date for me, because I was like, I'm not wasting that much makeup or time. Let's go get a coffee or a drink. And then I'll see if I want to do a more formal date with you and do dinner and things like that after I've connected with you. So I do think there's like potentially a range of like what a date could be, but it is such a special night. I think it just depends who you want to share that with, you know?
Yeah. Or just like everyone has a different definition.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And maybe that's a good discussion point when you meet someone. Like, want to go on a date, but let's define what a date is.
Totally.
Right? So we can be on the same page. Do you recommend people go to your events alone or with friends?
Both are good. People do both all the time. I feel like I'm my best self with like a wing woman of some sort. I have a chaotic group ticket where you can do 5 for $55. Those groups of 5 have the most fun by far. And I have the most fun checking them in. Like they always come with the energy. That is, I think, the perfect setting to do it in because you're coming with a group of your friends. So it's not so pressury if one of you splits off and talks to someone, then you're by yourself. Mm-hmm. You have like a camaraderie about it. So I would say I would recommend coming with at least 1 to 2, potentially 4 friends, just making sure that you don't stick in that group. So if you come as a group of 5, make sure that you disperse or that you really make an effort to meet people because sometimes people will just stick with their friends that they came with, which is definitely not the point of
right. So I guess maybe to back up, like how did this go from I'm just going to throw this in my house to have my own party to meet people to like now I'm running all these events for other people? Like what was that mental switch for you that was like this should be expanded?
Well, yes, it wasn't necessarily something I decided. It was something kind of the internet decided for me, if I'm honest. The TikToks from that first house party went super viral and everyone was commenting saying like, wait, I need this. I want to come to this, do this again. I really want to date in this setting. This seems so fun. And so I had all these thousands of comments asking me to do it again. And I was like, you know what? Maybe I will. And some friends encouraged me. And so I rented out a bar. Obviously I didn't do it in my house again. And I sold out that bar of 500 people in 30 minutes. And it was like the craziest 24 hours of my life. We had a wait list of 900 singles trying to get in.
What?
Wait, where was this? LA? Or wow.
What?
Yeah. Isn't that nuts?
It's just like people are so desperate for this. Like,
totally.
I mean, desperate, like not in a bad way, but it's just like there's such a need for
There's
it.
There's a need.
Yeah. And this was like 3 years ago before like the real IRL initiatives really started. Nowadays, this is a much more common occurrence. But back then it was kind of like the lockdowns were, had just ended. People were looking for real connection. So yeah, that moment made me be like, oh my, and that bar was full. People were having so much fun that night. And I just kind of was looking around being like, maybe I like tapped into something and maybe I'll just throw another one and see if I can keep it going. Yeah. And so I just kept throwing them in LA every month. And every month I had like at least 300 people showing up to connect. And I was like, oh my God. And then people were like, wait, bring this to New York. And so I just kind of have been like following where I feel like I'm being told to go, like where I'm being guided to. And so that's what's like built the momentum. And then we got a lot of press, which was awesome and kind of kept growing. And so this year, or maybe like halfway through last year, really decided to like build the business out. Because for a while I thought this was just going to be a fun phase of my life where I'm going to throw parties for a little bit and like see what happens. And then I was like, maybe I could like actually build out a business and do this for real.
So you got featured on like Good Morning America, like the Times. Like, why do you think like people were so like enthralled by this?
It's so funny. The Good Morning America. I think there's something about like the IRL really connected with a lot of people. Like I want to meet someone in person. I want to have that rom-com meet cute moment. And then I think people really love the story of how I met my now fiance doing that. And that's definitely the Good Morning America angle was definitely about the two of us, which was so funny because then my now fiance had to be on TV, which he's very much not,
yeah, he's like, no,
not that person. And he was so nervous and I felt so bad, but I was, they definitely wanted him in that segment. So I was like, oh. But yeah, I think something about the rom-com of it all really connected with people / like the looking for their rom-com moment.
But there are plenty of singles events and I see them every day on Eventbrite.
Yeah.
And there's plenty of speed dating events. What do you think makes your events different that it's taking off so much?
Well, I would say there's a lot of singles events now. Like 3 years ago, there weren't as many. There's so many now, which is overwhelming and a little nerve-wracking for me as a business owner. But I think what makes my event different is that it feels like a party, but everyone just happens to be single. It feels like a bar, but everyone is single with a little bit more intention to it. So while speed dating events can be awesome, I again feel they bring that like pressure-y feeling to me.
Yeah.
While a bunch of other events can be really great. This one is meant for a certain type of person who likes to have fun, likes to go out, and is just looking to meet a bunch of people at once, as opposed to like having one-on-one, kind of more specifically curated. I think the general feeling of the party is what feels so different.
What's like the typical vibe of the people, like age range? Like, what do you typically see?
I would say most people are 28 to 34, kind of in that millennial-y vibe.
That miss a good house party.
Yeah, exactly. Or that have just maybe been on the apps for a bit too long and are looking for something different, The gender dynamic is open to everyone. I would work really hard to get that gender ratio pretty even.
Mostly hetero daters or everyone?
I would say mostly hetero. We're doing specific queer-only events now.
Okay. Cool.
And we've always had a great queer community that comes to them, but I would say it's mostly hetero. We have queer stickers you can use to self-identify, help you find the other queer singles there as well. And I would say the general vibe is like, honestly, very fun, smart, like honestly, some of the most fun, smartest, hottest women I've ever seen in my life have come to these parties. Like I don't know how they have found it, but I'm so grateful because they are like exactly who I would love to help find their person.
What about
Cassidy?
The dudes? Are they also?
I would say a lot of them are really like sweet angel boys. I have to sometimes
sweet angel boys.
I have to sometimes convince the like hot guys that it's worth it. I feel like they're less intentional. So I've like gone to fire departments and invited like whole brigades of firefighters to the parties and like really done a lot of guerrilla marketing to try to get quality guys in the door too. And I believe now that we really do have that. Yeah, I always like look around and make sure that there's at least 10 to 15 guys that I would approach at this party. So that's not just one or the other.
I'm going to speak for a few of my girlfriends, and please answer honestly. As a woman in my 40s, wanting to have some fun, I'm single, but I have no single friends. Would you recommend that I go to one of your events by myself?
Yes, I would. I would say, like I said, we have a good group in their 30s, mid 30s. So as long as you're okay talking to people in that age range, yes. But especially if you don't have single friends, this event is great to meet other single friends. Like that's definitely the connections that happen
that's a good point.
Most often. I think so many times being single can feel so lonely because everyone around you is engaged and married. So even if a lot of women come out of it with like a whole gang of single girlies that they can now go out with, or that they can now be set up on dates with. They've just expanded their network.
Right. That's so valuable.
Which I think is so valuable. Yeah. And so I think definitely come alone, make some friends. If you're okay dating in like a mid 30s age range, in your 40s, then 100%. And I will say the chaos of it all, there is really something for everyone. I would say most are 28 to 34, but we do get some above that age range and some below that age range too.
Yeah, maybe that's a good question. Like, what made you be like chaotic singles? Like, why was that the name? It's very catchy. Very catchy.
There's just something about that first party that was truly just so chaotic. Everyone kept being like, this is so chaotic. Like, I can't believe you did this. And you're still encouraged to bring dates off a dating app to the party for maximum chaos. You get a ticket discount if you do that.
Okay.
So I think there's just something so chaotic about dating in real life for people who aren't used to it. And then we bring a lot of like chaotic elements into the party, into the games, into the sponsors. Like we just had Trojan condom sponsor parties. So we're always trying to maximize chaos in the fun way, not in the bad way.
So with the games, can you give us an example of like a game that would be played? I'm just
totally
curious.
So my favorite game that we play is called Musical Cheers. It's like musical chairs, but with alcohol. So once everyone's checked into the party, I'll get on the mic, or one of the ambassadors will get on the mic, and we play. Basically, when the music plays, you are instructed to move around the space. And then when the music stops, you cheers the person in front of you and answer the question I ask on the mic. And I usually start with a few soft questions, like what's the red and green flag about you? What are you looking for tonight? Describe your perfect date. And then as people get a little more comfortable, be like, what's the hottest thing about the person in front of you? What's something fun that turns you on? What's the number one thing on your bucket list? And we play this for 4 or 5 rounds. These are just like 10 or 15 minutes. But every time the music starts, you have to move to a different side of the bar, meet someone different. And it just helps, you again have 4 to 5 forced interactions that then you can circle back to later. And I always say on the mic, if you're looking at someone or you've made eyes at someone from across the room, this is your time to try to find your way near them by the time the music stops, so you can really like shoot your shot. And it just, after we play that game, the whole energy of the party shifts.
Oh, that sounds like fun. I would play that game.
Yeah, the games are like designed to be fun and not corny. I promise.
Did you come up with a game?
Yeah.
Wow, it's really clever.
Yeah, I'm just alone in my room every night being like, what games can I know? Honestly, I'm like, how can I add more chaos? I'm like, how can I use an air horn? Like, I just really want to like keep like making sure it's a fun. I don't want it to ever feel like the same event over and over again. Like, I always want it to feel different and fun. And like, you walked away being like, well, I met like 10, 20, 30 really cool people.
Yeah. So are you like going to every party and like traveling around, or like how do you like, do you have plans to like have them more self-run? What's your take on it?
Yeah, so we're in 8 cities nationwide right now. And so I have ambassadors in every city who run the parties with me. So they run the party, but I'm on call from LA helping facilitate anything they need. And then when we launch in a new city, I go a few times to launch the parties, and then I leave it to the ambassadors to run. So this weekend I'm going to Boston because we're launching there. And then eventually I'll leave it to the ambassadors to run the events there without me.
Got it.
Do you have a misconnections feature?
Yeah, that's good.
Oh my gosh.
I feel like that would be me. I'd be like, I had a crush on the boy in the blue, but I just didn't approach him.
Totally.
Is he down?
It's like, I really want to develop some sort of app that helps have this. I've pitched it around a bit because the misconnection feature is my number one request. And I really want to find something to facilitate it. Right now, it's done kind of like grassrootsy in that a lot of people will email me or DM me after the event being like, the guy in the blue hat I met. And so then I'll put on my story and be like, Boston, if you're a man in a blue hat at the party last night, DM me. And then I'll like, I will like do it myself, and I'm happy to do it. And nothing makes me happier, but I really do want to like create some sort of misconnection feature that's a little bit more organized, because right now it's just me like emailing people and connecting them.
I mean, that's something I think about too, because I think one of the things we hear a lot from people is like, cool, I met someone interesting in real life, but then it doesn't go anywhere.
Yeah.
And it's hard to like take it to that next stage. Like, clearly your now fiance was able to be like, we're going on a real date. Like, how do you, I guess, see people transitioning from we met at this party to like actually going on dates and maybe starting a relationship?
Yeah. So at check-in, you'll get a crush sticker that you can give to your crush throughout the night. And on that sticker, you're encouraged to write your name, your number, or like your handle. And then you can give that to your crush throughout the night. So we see a lot of people use that tool, halfway through the party or 3/4 of the way, just kind of like giving their crush sticker. The hot guy will kind of always be covered in them. And that's kind of like the tool of like, I want to keep this going. But a lot of other people will just kind of keep exchanging information, or they'll go from our party to a different bar for like an after drink, a post drink, and that'll kind of keep the party going as well.
So the sticker is visual.
Yeah, the sticker's visual. Yeah, it's a gold heart.
Do you find that they're like exchanging like Instagram like handles more and that, or like phone numbers and setting the dates up? Like, where do you see that happening?
I would say it's probably like 40% of phone numbers, 60% handles. I think they're more comfortable giving out their phone number because they've had an in-person interaction. Whereas I feel sometimes the Instagram is used as a way for me to see who you are online and get a better feel for who you are. Whereas if I've met you and we kind of had a great conversation for 30 minutes, I would feel more comfortable giving you my phone number. So I would say it's pretty split between phone numbers and handles, especially because that in-person connection's already happened.
What is the most surprising behavior you've witnessed since doing these events?
I mean, this probably isn't the answer you're looking for, but honestly, since I launched the business, the most surprising thing for me has been the number of men who hang out at the check-in desk and give me unsolicited business advice. Like,
what?
It is insane to me.
Like what? Tell you, like you should have a list, you have a newsletter, or like all that stuff.
Oh my God. The questions I've gotten that are so odd, like they'll hang out by the check-in desk and be like, so what's your ROI? They'll just like rattle off acronyms to me. And I'm like, excuse me, like, how much revenue? I'm like, who are you? Like, it's that's been the most surprising thing to me, truly the number. And I'm like, you bought a ticket to go meet, stop talking to me about business. I actually don't want to talk to you about this. Like, just go meet someone. So that's the most surprising behavior, if I'm honest, that I've witnessed. But I would say the most surprising behavior in the parties themselves, I don't know if it's surprising, but I get so excited when I see the leap of faith happen. When
Mm.
even at the last, we just did a queer workout class, and I knew this guy was nervous, but I knew he liked this other guy. And I was like, I don't know. And then I was like, okay, whatever. And so I like was busying myself, like doing my thing. And then like I looked over and he like approached the guy and was like, hey, like I'm Matt. And I was like,
Oh,
yes, Matt. Like, yes. Like I
Yay!
was so proud of him. I was like beaming. Like the front desk girl was making fun of me. She's like, what, are you his mom? I was like, no, I barely met this guy, but I'm just like, that moment is like, yes,
Yeah,
like exactly. Even
you
if
did
you
it.
did it, like this was worth it because you did that. And even if that isn't your soulmate, you doing that a bunch in your life, I think will bring you to
Yes.
where you're meant to be. I really
right.
believe it. So that behavior, when I see it, is like my heart like leaps out of my chest. I'm so happy.
I mean, I guess is a good segue, but like, what parting advice do you have for people that want to flex their social muscles that maybe are a little gun shy to like go to an event like this, or they want to do it, but they're, just the nerves are kicking in?
Totally. The nerves are so real. I will say a reminder is that everyone in that room is nervous. No one,
Mm.
even if they're only 1% nervous, no one is walking in like, I'm going to crush this. Everyone is nervous. But everyone also bought a ticket to meet someone, and everyone there agreed to take that leap of faith. And so if you're thinking of adding some chaos into your dating life, I say 100% do it. The worst that could happen is you get a really good story. The best that could happen is you meet some amazing friends. The best thing that could happen is you meet your partner. But I really think there's no lose in this situation, because you're either going to meet someone, or you're going to put yourself out there, you're going to learn about yourself, or you're going to get a really good story for the plot. Like
Yeah.
there's just
Mm-hmm.
no loss here. And I really do think when you take your dating life into your own hands, amazing things can come your way.
I mean, that's definitely a good way to go into takeaways. But I think my biggest one is that like we need to get more creative about the ways that we meet. We hear a lot of complaining happening, but I love one, just organizing these events yourself. If you're brave enough to do that, whatever they mean to you, like you get to define it. We've talked about like having a dinner party and inviting someone randomly. It doesn't have to be necessarily a large scale event. You decide what's best for you and the environment you're comfortable in, or seeking out existing stuff like this, or other things again that appeal to you that others are doing, and having this mentality. I love what you said of just like, I'm doing it for the story. I don't care, like we'll see what happens. It could be love, it might not be, but it's going to be a fun night. And I think a lot of that's missing. And I mean, I'm clearly out of market for going to events like this, but this whole conversation is taking me back to like my 20s and 30s, where it just felt like there were a lot more like organic events happening. They might not
Yeah.
necessarily have been around like singles and meeting as much, but there were just a lot more things going on. I think COVID did kind of take away a lot of that stuff. I know personally, a lot of the events I used to go to, they just kind of shut down over COVID and they never started up again. And I think that happened a lot. So I'm glad that there's kind of like this new wave of events that are happening. And the reality is our social muscles are trained. They're not as in good a shape as they once were.
Yeah.
So like having this support and having kind of like, I don't know, like someone to guide you through a bit more, like maybe that is what's necessary right now and what's lacking and why we're feeling the way we are, that's so hard to meet people. So I'm glad that you're giving that alternative and kind of meeting people where they're at and allowing these parties and events to happen in a way that really can facilitate that connection that's so missing.
I love that.
Yeah. Really great job embracing the chaos. I think that's number one takeaway. Just embrace the chaos. If we're going to say dating is chaotic, then just freaking lean into it. And I think we've overcorrected in some ways on touting solo ventures. It's like in our community, we talk about master dating, taking yourself out on a date, which is absolutely necessary. But we forget that we have to have experiences with other people. And that's what makes dating feel less isolating and less lonely, is we can have this shared experience together. So my takeaway from this conversation is for all of our listeners, make it a challenge for yourself on a weekly basis to find something where you can share an experience with other people. Still take yourself on those dates, still do things by yourself, still be independent, but really prioritize that communal experience that you can have with other people that you cannot get when you're by yourself.
I love that. I couldn't agree more.
Cassidy, if people want to find out more about your events and you, where can they go?
Yes, you can go to chaoticsinglesparty.com to find a chaotic singles party near you. We're also on Instagram at chaotic singles party. And then my personal Instagram and TikTok is Cassidy Nash Davis.
We'll link everything in the show notes for people.
Awesome.
And here it is for all of our listeners. If you're trying to find the other 4 friends to go with you, just DM us. We will put up a post for your city. We'll match make some friends for you to go to Cassidy's parties with.
I love that.
Go to our Facebook group. Put it up there. Yeah.
Yes. All right. On that, we're going to wrap up this episode. Stay dateable.